Hi y'all, today I'm going to show you how to make gluten-free cinnamon swirl quick bread. Bread is really a deceptive word for most quick breads because to me, they're more like cake, don't you think? I think people like to call it bread just so they can justify having it for breakfast or any time of day. Well, whatever you choose to call it, let's get into it and I'll show you how to make this easy recipe. The loaf pan I'm using today is an old one of mine that I really love using. It's 8 by 4 inches, but it's very deep. And I like that because it makes for a thicker piece of bread or cake or whatever you're going to call it. I've lined this with a parchment like sling, if you will, to be able to lift the bread right out when it's done. So first I'm going to mix together the cinnamon and sugar. I have a half a cup or 100 grams of sugar and a tablespoon or 9 grams of ground cinnamon, and I'll just give this a quick little whisk and set it aside. This will go in the middle of the bread as the swirl and on top. All right, I'll put that aside for now. I've got 1 3/4 cups or 245 grams of my all-purpose gluten-free flour blend, and I'll add to that 1 teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of salt. I'll just whisk these together real quick and then set this aside. And now I'll get my wet ingredients together. I've got a medium bowl and I'll add 1 egg, which is at room temperature. All of my ingredients are at room temp, by the way. And this is 3/4 cups or 150 grams of sugar. And I'll whisk this together with the egg. It's really quite thick, so you don't have to get it perfectly smooth. Just whisk it together, and as soon as you add the rest of the ingredients, it'll thin out much more. So I'll go ahead and add the sour cream, which is 1/3 cup or 80 grams. And also 1/3 cup or 80 grams of vegetable oil, but any neutral oil will do. And then I'll add in 2/3 cup or 160 grams of whole milk and 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. And you can sub both the sour cream and the whole milk with dairy-free options if you need to, like yogurt for the sour cream and then dairy-free milk for the milk. All right, I'll just pour this directly into the dry ingredients and then mix the two together. It's just that simple. No mixer, no yeast, no proofing. It's kind of nice to make a quote-unquote bread in this amount of time, isn't it? Let me grab my prepared pan. And I'll just pour half of this into the bottom. Okay, I'll sprinkle almost all of this on top, save about 2 tablespoons or so. That looks great. I'll grab the rest of the batter now and pour the rest on top. And then I'll carefully spread this because the sugar mixture really likes to grab hold of the batter. Now let me grab the rest of that cinnamon sugar and I'll just sprinkle it all over the top of the bread. This will be the top and it's going to get nice and crusty and so darn yummy, you guys. That's like my favorite part. I'll just use a butter knife here to swirl it slightly. You can do it lengthwise or widthwise. It really doesn't matter. This goes in the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for about 55 to 60 minutes. Or until a skewer inserted into the center comes out clean. Look at this, y'all. I wish you could smell it. It smells just like a cinnamon roll. I'm going to let this cool in the pan for about an hour, and then I'm going to put it on a wire rack to cool completely. I love having the parchment sling to easily remove it. It makes it so simple. It's still a little warm, so I'll let it cool down completely before cutting it and serving it. So while that's happening, I'll make this quick glaze. This is a totally optional thing. It's just a cup or 125 grams of powdered sugar and a little bit of milk and some vanilla, and it's supposed to be only like a tablespoon or so of milk, but I forgot that I had added more milk into this little beaker just in case I needed it, so now I have to add more powdered sugar to get it to the right consistency. I want it drippy, but not really super thin. That's much better. So I'll just drizzle this all over the warm cake and let that kind of crust over. I don't want to add too much though, because I really want those crunchy bits of cinnamon sugar to stay crunchy and crusty. All right, y'all. That's all there is to it. Let's try it. Let me just break off a little bit of the top first. It's all crunchy from that sugar, y'all. So, so good. This would be great with like some tea or coffee. I'm more of a tea person myself, but it's like a coffee cake, really. And the cake part is super soft and tender as well. That inside cinnamon swirl, it's sticky and it's almost like caramelized. I must have gotten some of the cinnamon mixture into the bottom because the entire bottom of the loaf is brown. It's like a two-toned loaf. You see that? My first few weren't like that at all, but it looks kind of cool, actually. For a quick and easy coffee cake, or bread if you want to call it that, this is the recipe you need. Enjoy!